Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And today I am joined by Megan Evans. And I met her on a call, and she really blew me away with how she talked about creativity. So I thought you would like to get to know her too. So Megan Evans is the founder and creative director of Lift Parade Arts, which is providing an arts experience guidance and creativity coaching rooted in the belief that creativity is a birthright and our creative souls are meant to thrive. With over 20 years of experience as a museum educator, arts experience facilitator, writer, creative director, and designer, Megan has spent her career channeling her deep love for the arts into helping others discover and embrace their own creativity. As someone who has navigated many hard parts of being a human, she discovered firsthand that creative painting, drawing, writing, theater, and movement, and beholding the artistry of others isn't simply a nice to have. It is a lifeline. So now she creates inclusive, non judgmental spaces where people can reconnect with wonder and healing and joy. And through one on one coaching, immersive experiences, and community workshops, her clients go from I'm not creative to obsessed with how creativity and the joy that comes from it make all the difference. I'm really excited to have
Hmm.
this conversation with you, Megan. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Amanda.
Amazing. So, okay, you definitely have the background around the arts, and I noticed as I was going through the bio and in our previous conversations, you really have a heart for helping people to unlock creativity. So, I think my first question is really like, what makes that so important?
Well, I think there's something in a lot of cultures today that make us think that creativity is something that is for a certain set of people. But really it is a there's a loss of creativity within our day-to-day lives. And and that's through anything that you do. It could be through hobbies, it can be through your day-to-day business life, it can be through, interacting in some type of artistic practice. But practicing the creative muscles in your brain and in your body help everything. They help you do everything better, easier, more relaxed, more enjoyable, and it's just a great way to, I don't know, to kinda imbue your life with joy, in all aspects. So, yeah.
That. I mean, I do appreciate a good spreadsheet. I like math, I love technology, and I just have to agree with you so much. Like to imbue, what a beautiful word. But like to really trust oneself to make connections that aren't already mathematically decided for you. Like just
Mhm,
doing things for the joy and the pure joy of it and not having to make everything about productivity or a black and white
mhm.
bottom line is really essential to the human experience, like where do you see a lot of people thriving once they get more in touch with their creative side?
Yeah, so, a lot of my practices and, what I coach people on is consistency of creativity, whatever that looks like for them, and, not just like, "Oh, on Saturday, I will decide to paint with my kids." Well, great, but what are other creative practices you can do consistently? Because that consistency helps regulate your system,
Mm,
helps change the way your brain processes. So things change in your brain, slows it down, releases or gets rid of stress hormones, increases, our good feeling hormones. I mean, these are studies that have been done on the experience of art. And it doesn't have to be that you're good at it. I think people think, "Oh, I'm not good at doing something creative." And so it's like, and it doesn't have to necessarily be related to your task at hand.
mhm.
It can be something completely different. People who have come up with amazing ideas usually do it when they're off the clock and they're out walking in the wilderness or they're, experiencing something new. And creative consistency, it gives you those opportunities to have those breakthroughs, to have those aha moments because we live in a world that where that's not we don't give ourselves permission. let alone the time to do those kinds of things. And I think, we're losing a lot of joy because of it. Mhm.
What a shame, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I remember years ago. So I have a chemical engineering degree, oldest daughter. So, the sciencey one, right? The mathy one.
Yeah.
And I
I'm also
remember,
the oldest daughter,
oh, you
the
are?
artsy
Okay.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
hence entrepreneurship. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I love that. So I remember like I was 22 years old, graduating from university, and my dad was giving me a gift. And it was so funny because I remember saying, like, I want to be creative too. I'm not just a science person. I'm not just a math person. I want to be creative too. So for
Mm.
my chemical engineering graduation, he gave me a sewing machine. And
Awesome. Yeah.
I think that's one of the best gifts I've ever got because it was
Mm.
very out of the box and different from what I think people normally assumed, right? I was
Mhm.
often my gifts would be things like the microscope set, or I once got an abacus, and it's like that's fun, but like there's more to life, there's a lot of
Right.
range. And to your point, I mean, is I think there's a desire we have as a human to have a lot of certainty and to know that things are going to be okay. And there's just something
Mhm.
about the experience of even observing art. I love that in your bio when you were talking about learning to appreciate the art that others have created. Can you talk to us a
Mhm.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so similar things happen in our bodies and our brains when we create art and also when we experience it. So that could be anything like going to a museum. It could even be like just taking a walk outside and being observant. So slow looking, being cognizant of the environment around you. And sometimes it's a mindset and putting yourself into a space where you are forced to be in a different mindset is kind of the key. And the thing is that a lot of times we don't do that. And even if people don't feel like they can sit down and do something or dance or, be creative in their body or in their with their hands, they just attending something or putting yourself in a space where you're forced to recognize or look, it changes the way it creates a sense of community, which is really important for all of us because even knowing somebody else was there who was doing something or watching somebody do something is just as it can be just as helpful and important as creating something yourself. So when I coach people, I often, we talk through those things like what is it that you truly love to do? What is it that you loved to do when you were a child? What if you had no and we talk about those things all the time. We have questions like, if you had all the time in the world, what would you do? And I mean, you do have the time. I mean, you just have to like create it. And so if I had all the time in the world, I would, out of clay. Well, guess what? I coach people to help them figure out that time, and it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to you can do it in 5 to 10 minutes a day. You can do it in 2 hours on a weekend, but that consistency and being in engaging in the thing that brings you joy is the key. Yeah.
That we were talking before we hit record about the fact we're in the summer months and, keeping the kids
Mhm.
entertained is super important. I've been so impressed with my almost 9-year-old. He's been really pursuing creativity in a lot of different ways and just like taking an inspiration of something like a show he saw or something like that, and then extending it into like creating something for himself. And one of
Mhm.
his projects that he's been working on is he's been learning how to code. Just wanted to do that. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
I asked him, I was like, what do you like about it so much? And he's like, I like the feeling that I created something.
Mm.
And I thought,
Mhm.
oh man,
Yeah.
that's just such an honest way to put it. And
Mhm.
I think it's also one of the big beautiful things about entrepreneurship is you get to have that creative freedom. And I see so many people, they recreate a job. Like they take whatever experience they had in employment and then they
Mhm.
try to do that, but with like a fraction of the resources on hand. And
Mhm.
it's really the creativity that allows you to find points of leverage and to find, the more essential things that are really important that can make the business grow to a place that you could, for example, start hiring, you could start really broadening your impact. So creativity, I would argue, is it doesn't just feel good. It doesn't just like make you feel more joy. It does that too, but I would say it's even an essential ingredient to being successful.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I think and it's interesting how practicing a creative muscle, however you do it and however you do it consistently, spills over into other parts of life. And so, as an entrepreneur myself and you as an entrepreneur, I mean, we when you move into a space that might be more techy or for business or you know interacting with people, social interactions, those are all assisted by the practice of thinking through things during creative practice or creative experience. And it becomes a place for processing, which we don't do very often anymore, especially with AI. We don't even know what's been processed because AI does it for us. And so it's also a space to process things and to really dig in, I don't know, internally in your heart, soul, mind, with all the things that are going on. You'd be amazed at the things that come to mind. I mean, it's akin to exercise. Scientifically, it's akin to exercise, what it does for your body to take a break and do something creative, to take a break and go for a walk, to take a break and be out in nature. All of these things are similar in how it can help you in business. Yeah, just taking the time to do that. Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that too as you were talking about it. One of the great battles that I have waged with my clients has been around protecting time. And what a great idea to take something as fun as like playing with clay or paint or going to a museum, but just like adding that intentionality, using creativity as a doorway. It has kind of this double effect of, yes, the benefit of the creativity, but also showing you, yeah, you have agency. You can decide
Mhm,
how you want to spend your time. And that actually is a big doorway to a lot of other performance things as well.
mhm.
And getting kind of out of this mindless consumption that we tend to
Yes.
find ourselves in an
Or
AI social
even
media world.
mindless productivity. It's like, "Oh, I have to
Oh,
do this. Well, AI can do it for me. I have to do this. Well, AI can help me." Or, "I have to do this.
yeah.
I can call somebody to do it, for me." And it's just like finding ways to stop and be present. I think we have to find those ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, so Megan, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, I am not much on social media, and I really love connecting with people through email. So, my email newsletter is probably the best place. And I also am really consistent about communicating with people by email, answering questions, and giving away like special events and freebies, teaching people about creativity. And you can do that at liftparade.com. You can get on my newsletter, and I'd love to see some new people on there and show you the world of what creativity can do for you. So,
I
yeah.
love it. And dear listener, we'll make sure that we have Megan's links for you in the show notes below. Megan, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Amanda. It's been awesome.
It has been. And dear listener, be sure to grab the link to this episode and share it with a few of your friends that, you'd like to see them loosen up a little and access that creative side. This is a really cute way of letting them know that you're thinking of them and it's in a beautiful way. And, don't forget, like I said, we've got the links in the show notes below. And if you've loved this, do be sure to subscribe and take 30 seconds to leave us a little review. When you do that, it lets people who are thinking about spending time with us make that decision. And we are very grateful for every honest review we get. Thank you so much for being here. And we will see you in another episode. Until then, make sure you do what matters, even the creative stuff.